For the first time in 4 years, the US and South Korea will revive their live-action military drills. This is heightening their preparedness as the North Korean nuclear threat worsens and China steps up its presence around Taiwan. But there's concern that North Korea could use the drills as a pretext to retaliate. Let's just take you now to Jean McKenzie, our correspondent in South Korea, who was given rare access to the Joint Operations Centre from where the war games are run.
Deep underground, an American and a South Korean colonel watch North Korea.
I'm learning, but it's difficult to get it right.
In this classified bunker outside Seoul, the two militaries work together to defend against a North Korean attack.
This is the only place in Korea where US forces and South Korean forces sit side by side, and using all this information they can detect almost immediately if North Korea launches a weapon.
Between his great English and my terrible Korean, we can usually muddle through a lot of different things and get to a decision quickly.
The threat from North Korea is increasing. Its missiles are becoming more dangerous, its rhetoric more fiery. So these war games from 5 years ago are back as the US and South Korea practice how to fight their common enemy using aircraft, warships and tanks.
I can't do it in a classroom, I can't do it on a chalkboard. I have to give them the most intense environment that we can create, and this is that environment.
Sticking out here, this is our gun barrel.
Fighter pilot Captain Abbey Wolters will train from the sky.
It's really important for us to train together with the South Koreans. The communication flow is much better in the air if you've practiced it multiple times, so it can go quicker, which helps us get more effects down and just be more efficient and deadly in our job.
North Korea sees these drills as a rehearsal for an invasion. There is concern it could retaliate. In this recent speech, Kim Jong-un warned they could end in war. They might have the appearance of war, but the US and South Korea insist these drills are defensive, in part a show of strength to convince North Korea never to use its weapons, especially as it works to develop ones that can evade missile defences.
So it's your first time at Osan?
Lieutenant General Scott Pleus is the deputy head of the US Forces Korea.
I have absolutely no worries whatsoever that North Korean missiles have a way of defeating our capabilities here on the peninsula.
But they are making progress.
And so are we.
Intelligence suggests North Korea is on the cusp of testing its first nuclear weapon in 5 years. South Korea says it shouldn't be blamed if these drills provide its ammunition.
Since North Korea know that this one is a defensive one and they wanted to utilize this joint military drill for their own political purpose, I think that the joint military drill is one excuse for North Korea to do that kind of military provocation.
These war games may well provoke North Korea, but faced with an increasingly formidable enemy, these forces believe they have no choice but to prepare. Jean McKenzie, BBC News, Seoul.
Let's take you live to Carlisle in Pennsylvania and talk to Dr. Lenny Kim, who is a professor at the US Army War College. Very good to see you. What effect do you think these war games will have on Pyongyang? What do you expect their reaction to be?
Hi, well, thank you for having me. And before I answer your question, I should mention that the views expressed here are my own and do not necessarily represent official views of the U.S. government. So, as you know, North Korea is very sensitive about these exercises and has already threatened to respond firmly to these drills. The U.S. and South Korea claim that these exercises are purely defensive in nature. And then actually the scenario that the military exercises are based on is North Korea's hypothetical attack of South Korea, not the other way around. However, North Korea characterizes these exercises as an invasion rehearsal, as mentioned earlier. And then these exercises, North Korea argues that these exercises should be called Ulti Freedom Sword instead of Ulti Freedom Shield. And so we'll expect some sort of provocations from North Korea. It could be additional missile tests, or it could be another nuclear test.
And at the moment, we're seeing the North conducting missile tests at a record pace as well. Do you expect that to continue then?
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, North Korea tested intercontinental ballistic missiles that can reach the United States, and it has also tested hypersonic missiles and cruise missiles recently that could neutralize the U.S. defense system, missile defense system. So that is a concern, and I think that North Korea will continue to do that.
What role do you think the US will continue to play now? Could we see them deploying further strategic assets?
Well, South Korea and the United States have vowed to deploy strategic assets such as bombers and aircraft carriers, which North Korea is very sensitive about, to the Korean Peninsula. That could happen. And then these military exercises are actually a pretty good way to show the U.S.'s resolve and commitment to defending South Korea.
Dr. Lanikan, thank you very much for joining us from Pennsylvania with your
Sure.
thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.